Hi. Hi. I'm Dennis Prager. Welcome to my home, my fire, my seat, my study. It's great to be with you. Completely unscripted, totally spontaneous. That's why sometimes it sounds truly inelegant, like last week. But what are you going to do? We don't change it or edit it. We just present to you what happens here. And thank you for being with me. It's just a chance to talk to you, take your questions, get to know each other better. And the reception has been very moving to me, how many people watch this each week. Maybe because, you know why? You know what the appeal is? And I'm not bragging here, but it's not my style. It's real. People like the real. And I like real. That's a big factor in what appeals to me. That's why, I'll give you an example of what is not real, and I so dislike it, I can't watch a lot of the sitcoms on American television. You guys know what I'm referring to? What's not real about American sitcoms?
Laugh track?
That's right, the laugh track. I'm so aware that it's just a recording that somebody's doing with a button, a knob, and then lowering it, that I have no joy. If there's a real audience and it laughs, fine. If there's no laughter, if it's funny, I'll laugh anyway. I'm not laughing because they're laughing. I'm laughing because it's funny. So I just don't like that stuff. I don't like the fake. And so this is really real. I try to be real. So today I want to talk to you about a subject dear to my heart, and that is people freaking out about health scares. And I have watched this my whole life, and I'm telling you, people are going to die from fright more than they're going to die from what they're afraid of. There are things I'm afraid of, but they're very different. So I'll give you an example, the latest example. A judge just ruled in California that all those who sell coffee, like Starbucks, have to have announcements, written announcements or signs that coffee can cause cancer. Why? What is it called? Acrylide? Acrylamide? Thank you. Acrylamide. Apparently in the heating process or something is this, and if you give enough acrylamide to a mouse, it dies of overweight. I'm kidding. It just dies. But if you give anything to a mouse, give enough water to a mouse, it'll die. It's first of all, coffee, and I'm not a coffee nut. I like coffee, but I'm not crazy about it, like many are, and I have no issue with people who are crazy about it. My wife's crazy about it, and she's very healthy, and she loves it. It's great. I have no issue with it. And the acrylamide is a carcinogen, despite the fact that coffee, and you look this up, you'll be amazed. I've been amazed at how healthy coffee really is for you. That like 3 cups a day is actually good for you. That it's actually an anti-cancer and good for blood vessels and good for a whole host of things for you. It turns out that is the case. Why am I raising this as my opening issue before I take your questions? Because I've lived through this all of my life. All of these scares, the most famous one is one that is very fraudulent, secondhand smoke, which 99% of you believe kills people. Okay, we're told every year it kills 50,000 Americans. It's nonsense. It's complete nonsense. If you're stuck in a room 5 by 5 or 10 by 10 with a person smoking cigarettes all day long, and you sleep with that person while they're smoking, and this takes place for about 50 years, I believe it could have an adverse effect, just like enough acrylamide in a mouse. But beyond that, if somebody were to say, it's bad if you have asthma and you are in a small room with smoke, I totally agree with that. I'm not saying that it has no adverse effects. I'm saying it doesn't kill. or it kills so rarely and under such extreme circumstances, it's not true. You know why it was developed, secondhand smoke? I'll tell you why. The crusaders against smoking, and especially cigarettes, and cigarettes are dangerous. Truth is truth. I have no problem with science or truth. I have problem with hysteria, not with science. So they realized that telling people that cigarettes can kill you was not doing enough to stop a lot of people smoking cigarettes. So then they came up brilliantly with a new thing. You're not just killing you, you're killing people around you. That's what changed the entire anti-smoking crusade. Then people said, if somebody wants to kill himself, that's their business. But if they're going to kill me, that's my business. And that's why the secondhand smoke thing became so big, to get people to stop smoking through what it turns out to be largely untrue about it being this fatal thing. You should read the British Medical Association and others about secondhand smoke, and you'll realize that this is wildly exaggerated. But we get it all the time. This is dangerous, that's dangerous. We have a Prager University video. Lenore Skenazy gives a brilliant video. What is it? Let kids be kids? Let kids be kids. And I couldn't believe it when I first read her script. What doctors unfortunately are some of the biggest hysterics. And I know why. I'll explain it in a moment. It's a very interesting thing. I've analyzed it. Why doctors are somewhat hysterical. So there were doctors who were saying, don't let your kids walk barefoot in the sand on the beach. Give me a break. Give me a break. You've got to be nuts not to let your kids walk barefoot on the beach. It's part of being a kid. Don't build sandcastles. Don't dig holes. Don't bury your friend. I don't mean fully. Come on. What are you going to do on the beach? Watch the waves come in? Of course you play in the sand. That's half the point. We play frisbee football on the sand or whatever you're doing. Don't walk barefoot. I remember, do you know that diving boards have been banned in California at homes that have swimming pools? This is already so many years ago, because some people have dived into swimming pools that didn't have water, and they killed themselves or got paralyzed or brain concussion. There are people in America who want to live a life with no risks. But you know what happens with a life with no risks? You have very few joys. I don't believe in silly risks. I'm not going bungee jumping. I don't intend to climb Everest where what is it, 10%? I don't know what percent it is, actually die. I mean, it's a very, very risky thing to climb Mount Everest. But, I'm certainly not for banning it, but it's not something, even if I could do, that I would do. But all right, people do it, they do it. But life, life should have a lot of joy in it. And this is one of the joys for kids, to walk in sand. The coffee is one of the joys of life for people who like coffee. Because mice, get it? You're going to have these announcements. In California, if you fill up your car, it's hilarious. You got to read. Most people ignore it, thank God. But there is a long list of people who shouldn't be filling their car with gas because the fumes of gas could kill you. And it's unbelievable when I think about it. Or how about this? Oh my God, and this I know is going to turn off some of you, and I don't mean to turn you off, but I got to be honest. I am totally supportive. If you want to breastfeed your children, God bless you. If it's bonding, and God bless you, it's a non-issue to me. But the anger at women who give their kids a bottle, it's anger, like you've engaged in some form of child abuse. I was bottle fed, and I am healthy. I've been healthy my whole life. I'm 6'4". They say that kids who were breastfed are smarter. Maybe I would have been smarter, but I'm okay with the level of intelligence that God gave me right now and a bottle. I'm not sure I got stupider, My brother was bottle fed. He's a professor of medicine at Columbia University. I think he's been okay intellectually. I mean, this stuff is just unbelievable. The scare tactics that people use on things that are nothing. When I think about my life, my parents both smoked. Nobody died of secondhand smoke. My mother smoked when she was pregnant with me. She drank when she was pregnant with me. I'm not advocating you do so. Do whatever you want. But I'm telling you, it is amazing. When I think that my mother would send me when I was a kid to go to what we called in New York, where I grew up, a candy store. Dennis, could you go to the candy store and pick up a pack of cigarettes for me? I was like 8 years old and they sold me cigarettes. Because it didn't matter in those days. Nobody thought I was going to smoke the pack. How many 8-year-olds are smoking packs of cigarettes? And if they are, the problem is not the salesperson. The problem is the upbringing of the kid. I grew up in a different world. Seesaws. We had seesaws. We had diving boards. We had monkey bars. I mean, these things are unknown to a lot of kids today. What's wrong with a seesaw? Somebody fell off a seesaw? Of course somebody's going to fall off a seesaw. That's what happens on occasion. It's not good, this stuff. And it comes from an immature view of life that somehow we can make it risk-free. But it comes with a price, risk-free. It's joy-free. It's spontaneity-free. So that's what I think about when I think a judge rules that going to tell people coffee is a carcinogen. Frankly, the more things that are announced as carcinogens, maybe the better. Maybe people will just tune out, which is what's going to happen because, excuse me, when something is actually a carcinogen, no one will believe it. It's like calling everybody you don't agree with a white supremacist. When the real bad white supremacists arise, nobody will believe it because everybody's already been called a Nazi, a neo-Nazi, a fascist, a racist. This is the ruining of language through this hysteria, whether it's in politics or it's in health. It's not healthy. It's not good. God, I'll never forget. This is going to drive a number of you crazy too, but okay. I was one of my two sons' birthday party. I don't remember. I think the younger one. So this was about, he's 25. So this was about 20 years ago. And it was my house, and I was smoking my pipe. I smoke a pipe and a cigar. And at the birthday party, so this 5-6-year-old walks over to me, and he goes, "Mister, that's dangerous." So this 5-year-old's telling me that my pipe is dangerous. Like he knows about pipe. I don't know what's dangerous about pipes. I'll talk about doctors in a moment. I promised I would. And it's an important thing. So I looked at the kid and I go, "Hey, you see how big and tall I am? It's because I smoke a pipe." So, of course, when I tell this, there are parents who are so horrified that they would like me jailed. I understand that. But I think it's ridiculous. I can't imagine going over to an adult when I was 5 and telling them, it's dangerous. Now they're going to do that with coffee? Why not? Our kid's going to walk over to adults and say, that's dangerous. You're drinking coffee. By the way, the thing that really bothered me from the beginning, the thing that really bothered me about the anti-tobacco crusade was that there's no anti-alcohol crusade. Nobody abuses a wife or a child after a cigarette. But overwhelmingly, child and spousal abuse are accompanied by alcohol abuse. Alcohol abuse has ruined families, okay? Not cigarettes, not cigars, and not pipes. Our moral compass is really wacky. Now, why are doctors so hysterical? It's understandable. Because they see only sick people. People don't go to the doctor when they're healthy. They go when they're sick. Right? That's the way it works. So they see only sick, and they therefore, for example, doctors have said to me, "Dennis, You smoke a cigar, you could get lip cancer. So I said, yes, I am aware of that. But doctor, to be honest, I've lived a long life, thank God. And I got to tell you, I have known a lot of people because I'm a public figure, because I know a lot of people and a lot of people who know a lot of people. I don't know anyone who got lip cancer, pancreatic cancer, lung cancer, skin cancer, liver cancer, brain cancer, breast cancer, ovarian cancer, testicular cancer, you name it. But I never met anybody with lip cancer. But they exist. Of course there are people who have it. And doctors see the tiny number of people who have it, so they extrapolate it's really dangerous, because that's what they see. So that's the reason doctors are understandably, although I don't defend it, but understandably get hysterical, because they see the rare cases of all these things like carcinogens in coffee. So live life, enjoy it. Some things are truly dangerous, and don't bother doing them. But most things, they're just fine. Don't get freaked out. Okie doke. Time for... There we go. Press it twice, Dennis. Good. Your questions. Eric, 25, Detroit, Michigan. What is the right thing for single men to do about dating when some women fall in line with society's demonization of viewing forms of courtship as sexist? Thanks in advance, Dennis. Let's see. Some women fall in line with society's demonization of forms of courtship as sexist. You mean like if you hold a door, is that what it is? Or if you pay for the dinner, or is that sexist? Any woman you date who thinks it's sexist to hold a door open, you should thank. If you're on a date with a woman and she says that's sexist, you know why you should thank her? Because in one fell swoop, in one moment, she has announced to you that you don't want to date her anymore. So you don't have to waste any time. She has done you a service. Because she's a dummy. And why would you want to date a dummy? That's it. Simple. Men should be men, women should be women, and that's one of God's blessings to the human species, that we come in those two varieties. Not 3 varieties, not 4 varieties, just 2. And to celebrate each. There is a tiny percentage of humanity that has gender dysphoria, that does not identify with the sex that they are biologically. I want to embrace these people. I want to hug them. I want to give them consolation. It's a tragedy. It's a separate issue. But even they don't deny that there are 2 sexes. They just think they're the other one. That's a separate issue. But if you're with a woman who says, "Oh, you don't have to hold a door for me. What do you think? I'm weak." Okay, so she has told you that she doesn't think clearly, and that's a service. Ian, 23, Sheboygan, Wisconsin. I am a devout Christian who in the past has struggled with churches. I've attended churches around me, and they've only impeded my walk with God. My question is, what are some ways to keep the Sabbath holy without going to church? Okay, number one, the first part is not necessarily related to the second, but I'll answer the second one because I don't know all the specifics about the first part. How do you keep the Sabbath without going to church? I did the 10 Commandments for Prager University. You should see the 5-minute video. They're all 5 minutes. The one I did on the commandment to keep the Sabbath. That is, by the way, that has kept me sane, the Sabbath. That every week, in the Jewish case, at sunset on Friday till sunset on Saturday, I, in effect, leave the world. I don't read newspapers. I don't read the internet news. I don't care. I don't know what's happening in the world. I'm with friends and or family, and it is just a joy. I don't work. I don't broadcast. It's life-saving. The best way, if you don't go to church, and I think you should, even if you have troubles, find a place that you can have less trouble. I have troubles. I go to synagogue every week. I don't find prayer particularly moving, but I find Bible study incredibly moving. So that's the part I go for, and I don't pray much. Others love prayer, and God bless them. I envy them. I wish I liked it more, but I don't. But it doesn't mean I don't go. If you have to be 100% at home in your religion, nobody will be in their religion. Very few people are 100% happy or secure or in agreement with their religion. The only religion you'll ever be 100% in agreement with is your own. It's like people who don't, oh, I can't vote for this candidate because I don't agree with him or her on this. All right, but the only candidate you'll ever agree with all the time is you. So you'll have to run for office. You want to invent a new religion? It's a free country. Go right ahead. I'm not kidding. I'm not being sarcastic at all. Invent a new religion. But if you'd like to be with other people in a religion and you don't fully agree with it, so what? I don't fully agree with everything in my religion. So what? Really? By the way, so what are magic words. Very often it's worth saying, so what? You'll lead a happier life. And find, if in your case, find a church where you like the people, where you like the pastor or the priest, and that's just sufficient. If you don't agree with everything or not everything makes you comfortable, so what? Or found your own. Found your own church. I'm not joking. Not even a new religion, just your own church. And do what you find is meaningful. You'll always find people who will agree with you. And how do you think new churches are always made? It's people want to make something that they are more consonant with. That's just fine. Provo, Utah, Sam, 22. Can children be raised effectively in single parent, single gender, or single parent / single gender homes? Okay, that's two separate questions. Can people be raised effectively in a single parent home? Yes, they can. Is it ideal to have two parents? It is ideal to have a mother and father. That is the ideal. That doesn't mean other things can't work. See, people are afraid to say that there is an ideal, as if it's insulting to those who don't live by the ideal. It's ideal to have one marriage and not get divorced. I've gotten divorced. I wish that I had had a happy marriage from the very beginning and only been married once. But I haven't. So I didn't live that ideal. That's the way it is. I understand. But I don't deny the ideal is one marriage. That is the ideal. Okay. It doesn't insult me that I didn't live the ideal. And it doesn't insult a single parent to say that the ideal is a mother and father. It doesn't insult gay couples to say that the ideal is a mother and father. I am not going to deny reality so that nobody's feelings can be hurt. People have to be mature, just as I have on the divorce issue. The ideal is not to get divorced, but some people have to. Okay? It's not good to live in a bad marriage your whole life. It's not fair to people. We have one life. It's not fair to either spouse. So I understand it, and that's how I look at it. Some of you have religious objections to any divorce. I never debate religion. I respect that. But for those who do not have that, and in Judaism you're allowed to get divorced, so it has not been a religious problem in my life. But it is the ideal. The ideal is two parents. The ideal is a parent of each sex. That doesn't insult anyone else. I know people who were raised by a single mom or a single dad who turned out beautiful. I know, and now with I'm sure that there were kids with same-sex parents who will turn out beautiful, and I'm sure there are kids who will turn out troubled. Life is complex. But my same-sex couple friends and relatives acknowledge the ideal is to have a mother and father. They're not negating their own selves by saying that. They're just telling the truth. So we should strive for the ideal. We can't make it. But I'm not going to deny ideals so that nobody's feelings are hurt. That's a big problem in America. Feelings trump reality. Big, big problem. Last question is from Jade, 20, in London. What is your opinion on the birth control pill, birth control in general? Well, my religion allows for it within marriage. Obviously, all religions have problems with premarital intercourse. But the issue to me, forgetting religion now, the issue is that that birth control, the birth control pill, has obviously enabled a lot of people to have sex without thinking about it. In the past, in all of human history, people had to think about it well, maybe I shouldn't have intercourse with this person because we could get pregnant, or she could get pregnant, obviously, and or the woman, could get pregnant, and that was a heavy duty thing. And now that is a non-issue if birth control is used. In the vast majority of cases, sometimes there's an accident, as it were. A lot of people walking around who know they're accidents, including from married couples. But otherwise, the issue to me is not birth control. The issue is, do people want to marry and do people want to have children? I don't have an issue with birth control. I have an issue with people not wanting to have children. That's a bad sign. Not marrying, that's a bad sign. Or using abortion as a form of birth control. That's also a bad sign. So that's how I would respond to that. Well, we good, guys? Everybody happy? Great. It's been a joy being with you. And I guess that's about it for now. See you next week. From my home, I'm Dennis Prager.